Hey, this is Spill the Tea with Michelle, and I got one of my +2 here, Jasmine, and we're back again in the same clothes as you can see in the video. We decided we wanted to do a second video tonight to kind of catch up on things that we haven't been talking about for a while. And so what's our topic now?
We're going to be talking about being raised up back in the day between being raised up now.
Yeah.
The difference.
So what's the difference of being raised back in the day and being raised now?
Well, from what I see, people did have to work a lot harder back then because now people just sit on their phones. But they were a lot happier to me.
We're happier back then. A lot of people. Because, you know, things were a lot more simple back in the day than they are now. It's like, you know, me and you were talking about this earlier today, right? Back in the day, when I was a kid, we didn't have an air conditioner. I mean, there was an air conditioner in existence. Don't get me wrong. I'm not so old that I don't know that the air conditioner didn't exist, but it did exist. But in our household, we did not have an air conditioner.
Only the rich people had it.
Yeah, and I didn't have an air conditioner until I got married. So that's different than you are today.
Oh, yeah, we were talking about how now since we have an air conditioner, we're spoiled with it.
Yeah, and you do. You know, your body gets used to the air conditioner and you feel like you got to have it. But if you never get in the air conditioner, then your body continues to be acclimated to the heat slowly and surely.
No, like if the air conditioner never existed.
Because I promise you, it was just as hot then as it is now.
Yeah, people just say it's hotter. There's a science thing, right? And because of the air conditioners and everything, it says that the average temperature, human temperature height is colder by
a degree.
Yeah. Than what it was like
back in the
years
day.
ago.
Yeah. You know, when I was little, it would get so hot that we had a well that we all you know, run our water off of, us and my grandparents and my aunt and uncle. We all owned a community well. It's an old it was actually an old plantation that we lived on, and they had the old plantation house and it run off the well, but he had places for mobile homes and we lived in one of the mobile homes. My grandparents lived next to us and then my aunt and uncle lived next to them, and so we ran off the community well. It was a community well, and every summer I remember it would get so hot that the well would dry up. And my dad would have to take his truck and take a 55-gallon barrels, and have to go, I don't know where he went, but he had to go and fill these barrels up with water so that we could take a bath and cook. One of them we used as a pool.
I also heard like every kid was outside playing. You weren't in the house all day.
That's right. You did go outside. Look, you know what? For morning time, your mama got you up and you got breakfast. And guess what? My mama cooked me breakfast every morning.
You don't do that.
No, it's back in the day. Back in the day. But my mama didn't work outside the house either.
Oh, she didn't?
No, she never worked a job outside the house once she was married. And so her job was to take care of us and to take care of the house, and you know, and she didn't have gardens and stuff like that. She didn't deal with all that. Her main thing was taking care of us. Now, if my main thing was taking care of you, then I could probably get up and have time enough to cook you breakfast. But we know how much you love cereal, so.
Yeah, I like my cereal. Yeah, but one of my friends, she said she'll feed her dogs and then she'll just lay in bed all day. She won't do anything else. She brags about it too. And I'm pretty sure back in the day, if you were lazy like that, no one would.
You know, you had a bad reputation if you were lazy back in the day.
Yeah, it was.
You did. I mean, they expected everybody to work. You know that when my grandma was 90-something years old, but when she was young, her mother had, my granny had, I think it was 11 brothers and sisters. And when she was young, her dad got killed, and he was riding his bicycle down the road, and he got hit by a car. and was killed.
I don't know that.
Yeah. And so her mama had to take care of all those kids by herself, and they had it really, really hard, and they had a hard time, putting food on the table. And every one of the kids had to go out and work, and they had to quit school and go find jobs. And a lot of times those jobs was working in the fields, picking cotton, picking tobacco.
But see, if kids had to do that now, they would die.
If you put a kid in the field right now and told them they had to go out there and pick tobacco, they would die. And not for picking the tobacco, it was the thought of it. Because they think that, back in the day there was a lot of farmers, right?
Now there's none.
The majority of jobs was farming jobs because you had to grow your own food. Now, if it come down to somebody having to work in the field, everybody starved to death and die.
I'm the only kid I know that owns a farm. No one else I know. They don't do that kind of stuff.
Now I'm sure there's people that own the farm, but there's a big farm and they have tractors and they work at it. We have a smaller farm and we actually have to go out there and pick things by hand. We don't have a machine that goes out there and does it for us. And whenever, people order peas shelled, that's the shellers right there. Right there. We don't have machines that shell it for us. I have a machine, but we haven't got it set up. We just got it. But we've been doing all of it by hand. We go and pick by hand. We plant by hand. We do have a tractor, and we do some planting in the first part of the spring. But once your stuff starts growing, you can't get a tractor out there. And so everything else is done by hand. And it's hard work. And yes, if you told a kid these days that they had to go out there and work in the field and pick something, they probably wouldn't make it.
And you notice the difference in the adults too, because adults like you're a lot more, you know how to handle a child, you know how to handle everything. But other adults, like one of my friends' moms, she'll take her to college parties and.
Right. Well, you know what? It all depends on what morals you want your kids to have, right?
Yeah.
And I want you to have morals where you think a lot of yourself. I want you to have priorities, and I don't want those priorities to be out partying. I want them to be taking care of yourself and being sustainable and knowing how to cook and knowing how to raise your own food.
And the parents you grew up with really does determine a lot of who you're going to be.
It does. If you have a parent that's taking you out and getting you drunk at 13 or 14 years old,
and they think it's fine,
that is not a parent. That's not a parent. That person has no parenting skills at all. They shouldn't even have kids if that's the way they're going to do it. Because they're leading that child down a hard life. At least whenever you grow up, at least you'll be able to take care of yourself.
I can also be there to help them.
Help your friends?
Yeah, my friends.
Are you going to teach your friends how to live?
I'm a teacher.
But that's the parents' job. If the parents are teaching the kids how to live, then they're not doing anything for them. That's what they're there for. To teach them how to live in life. Right? We're here to raise you in a way that's right and just. We need to teach you not to lie and not to steal, how to work hard,
not just
how to be
sit
honest.
In the house all day.
Right.
See, all my friends, they'll backtalk their parents and everything, and the parents will let them. They won't do anything or say anything.
That shows that they have no respect for adults. And that's, again, the parents' fault.
And you could tell the parents, they're annoyed, and they'll tell them to stop, but they won't stop.
Well, that's because Unfortunately, the government took away the parents' power to discipline. And the parents these days think that discipline is sticking somebody in a corner or giving them time out.
I got that.
Because the Bible says, spare the rod and spoil the child.
Spare that? What does that mean?
That means if you don't spank your kids when they're wrong and discipline them, then you're going to have a spoiled child.
You're not allowed to spank your kids?
Well, the government says nowadays that you can't, that's child abuse. But it's not.
So if the kid...
You know what? My mom and daddy, they tore my tail up when I did something wrong, and I lived through it.
So if the kid in elementary school, they were upset because they got a spanking or something, they told the teachers. Could the teachers go to someone, tell them about it, and get your child taken away?
Yeah.
But then that'd also be not following the Bible.
That's right.
How does that work?
You know what?
Would
the
you
government,
still do it
the government has thrown the Bible out. The government doesn't care anything about the Bible. Nothing. They took the Bible and prayer out of schools.
Now you gotta go to special schools to pay extra money to...
Now, if you want to know about God, it's either taught at home or you've got to have a parent that's taking you to church.
Yeah, we're lucky to have the people that take you to church even if you can't go.
Yeah.
We're lucky for that.
Yep. So, yeah. It's up to a parent to raise a child. It's all about how children are being raised. It is about that.
And it's also about what we have in our day. Because growing up, it's just staring at a phone.
Well, it's just like this. You know, they talk about, all this crime and everything, right? Well, back when I was young, there wasn't video games where you can watch people get killed and shot and you didn't see that.
Yeah, but nowadays sin is also promoted. Like, it's fun to do. It's okay to do.
Yeah. But see, the Bible says back in Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Sodom and Gomorrah is one of the wickedest states to have. Right? They did, it was wicked. They sinned unbelievably.
Wasn't there like one person out of that whole...
Well, God wanted to destroy the whole thing. But, somebody asked, hey, can I go in there and find at least one person and you won't destroy it? And God said, you find one person and
Shouldn't he, doesn't he know everything though? Shouldn't he already know?
Well, he
or is that part of the story?
It's part of the story. The Bible's about learning things.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. I guess so would have been.
So there was one family that was found, and one man that was found to be just and godly, and all of Sodom and Gomorrah, there was one man.
Honestly, how it is today is worse than what it probably was. So.
Right. And so, what happened? You remember the story?
They said to leave everything behind and to walk away from it. Don't turn back.
Right. Don't even look back at the city because he was going to destroy it because it was so wicked.
So sinful.
Right. And so, what happened? So the guy leaves and takes his family with him, and what does his wife do?
She looks back.
Right. She didn't listen to what God's command was, right? So she turns back, and what happens to her?
Turns into a pillar of salt.
Turns into a pillar of salt.
But see, with that, I don't get why the husband wouldn't look back. If I heard that someone I loved looked back,
because he was following God's commands.
Right.
So that's the thing. If you got to follow what the Bible says, you got to follow what God's commands, right? Just because you're sinning doesn't mean I got to sin. And that's the moral of half that story, right? Just because his wife did it doesn't mean he had to. God told him not to look back.
And he did it.
And he didn't. And she did, because she did not follow God's rules, right? So you're being raised, get back to the subject, you're being raised in a home where you're being taught a religious background, right? You've been taught the Bible, what we feel is moral and right.
Sorry, I was zoning out.
Now, there's people that don't think the Bible is moral and right. That that's not the way you're supposed to live.
Or they don't even know about it because that's just the way they're raised.
Right.
Like, I hate how that their Christianity can depend on how they live, and if they never heard of it, some people don't ever hear about it. Don't you not? Have you never heard about it?
Well, let's put it this way. I think the Bible says it's better if you have never known than to know and still go against God.
I think if you do know, but then you're still sinning and you can't be...
Well, you can't be held accountable for what you don't know.
Yeah.
But once you do know it, then you are absolutely held accountable.
If you get any bit of truth.
Right.
But what if someone's never heard the truth and you want to tell them that they would have never known if we never told them, and then we
That's
just made
right.
them suffer?
That's the reason when you just went to camp here, you went to missions, and that was all about telling other people, spreading the word. You know, back in Jesus' time, Jesus went around spreading the word, and his disciples went around spreading the word, right? And so that is our job as Christians to, try to bring the word to other people.
But they said it's better to have not known, so why would we do that?
Because we want them to find Jesus and find peace and love in their life.
Oh wait, because it does help people as a person to
That's
be a
right.
Christian.
That's right. So if you don't know right and wrong,
Yeah, then it does.
I mean, do you want to be around somebody all the time that doesn't know the difference between right and wrong?
No.
Right?
But I'm friends with people who cuss all the time. Not guilty. I'm friends with people who cuss all the time, and they do all these sinful things. And I'm just sitting there, and I won't say anything, cause mosquito oil. Cause if I do say anything, they just look at me like I'm weird or something. I have tried to spread the gospel with a few of my friends. Some of my friends, they claim we're getting off topic. That's where I topic. Get back to topic.
So some of your friends claim that they're Christian or not. That's the same way it is for a
I know,
lot of
and I'll
adults
convince them, and I'll keep convincing them, and they'll get mad at me for it.
Well, then, you know what? You have to learn to keep the right friends, right? If you have people that are like you and have the same thoughts as you and the same moral,
almost no one is.
okay, well then you have to find friends that are. Now, not everybody, nobody's perfect. Everybody's going to have some kind of sin in their life, right? But you have to work continuously to make sure that you try not to be sinful and try to follow the word. You have to try very hard. And it's something you work at it every minute of the day.
Oh, someone told me I was like a pastor's daughter.
Yeah?
Did I tell you that?
No.
I told her that.
So anyway, we'll get back to how kids are raised back in the day and how they're raised now. So back in the day, a lot of the church was a very big part of everybody's life, right?
I heard everything was closed down. Wednesday there was no games or anything.
No, like Sunday, nothing was open on Sundays. It's like they used to say that on Sundays they closed everything down and rolled up the sidewalks because there was absolutely nobody. Everybody was there with their families. They were not out drinking. They were not out partying. They were not out doing other things. They were spending time with their families and going to church.
We need to put the cover on.
And dogs all up in the share.
It's starting to rain, so we got to go. See you again, and maybe we'll continue this subject. Bye.